Kristin,
Ralph.
you've had a busy day today.
Yes. Solving all the world's problems. No.
You've been on Zoom since 1 o'clock. Wait, no, before that, right? 8 o'clock?
No, 1:30.
Oh, 1:30 till
Yeah.
now.
Till now.
5:45.
I
Yikes.
always think I want a break when I have something else, like after like but I just don't. I'd rather just keep going, is what ends up happening, which is why I schedule all my clients like in a row.
Yeah,
Because the break almost is like annoying. I'm like, I just want to get through everything I have to do for the day. So, yeah. So
I'm glad we could tack on this one more useless thing to your day.
I don't mean useless, just like I'm in work mode and then I want to be out. I don't like want to get into something else that's not work and then have to pop out. That's not how I operate. I kind of like to just work mode, not work mode.
Yeah, because if you take a break, it busts your groove.
But this does not feel like hard work to me. This is fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Seeing your face is always fun, Ralph. Even though we're not in the same room together, I still feel the connection.
Yeah, we're on Zoom today because Kristin, the diligent therapist that she is, had clients up until a few minutes ago. So,
and I will next week too, which we could talk about.
Man, all right.
Yeah, I'm trying to work that out, but it's not really working. So
how can I become one of your clients so that way we can just record it and make it into an episode?
Yeah, no, we can't do that. It's against the rules. That would be a rule violation, a big one.
I am a terrible client as well.
I can refer you out though, Ralph, if that was your call for help.
No, if I call out for help, you'll know. It'll sound like somebody screaming for help.
Okay.
So we have a guest today. I'm very excited about.
We are excited.
She is a god amongst men. Love her so much. So our guest for today is a comic, a creator, a performer, an entertainer, award-winning goofball, all of the above. She's on stage regularly at Punchline in Philly and throughout the Philadelphia area. She was voted Best of Philly Up-and-Coming Comedian in 2019. So she had the title of Best Up-and-Coming Comedian for a little while, for a year, till somebody dethroned her. She is also cast member of the N Crowd, an award-winning short-form improv comedy show here in Philly. And she is the co-founder of the insanely successful Free Fringe Philly. And one more thing, we co-host the uber popular and deeply loved panel comedy show Porn Stash. Ran for 4 years here in Philly. It's going to be making a comeback soon. Please help me welcome the completely unfunny and totally talentless Betty J Smithsonian is here.
Hello.
Wow. Hi.
Hey, Ralph.
I don't think that intro did you justice.
I thought that was amazing.
It sounds like you edited that down a bit.
There's a lot of extraneous stuff in there.
Yeah.
That I don't think was true, but Yeah.
Kristin,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Kristin, nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you, Betty. I'm excited. That introduction, my God. I feel like I should just maybe get off screen and let you go. I'm feeling small.
No, not at all. You were a valuable piece of this comedy machinery. I
did have an Uber driver just this week asked me if I did comedy. She said I was so funny, and I was like, I don't know if I'm that funny. I'm a little funny. Put me on a stage, might not be so funny.
I would love to see
compliment though. It was
do a tight five about some of your clients. So Betty, thank you for being a guest today.
I'm glad to be here. I was going to say, I really liked just watching Kristin hear my bio.
It is impressive. You are, and I don't say this lightly, I think you are one of the most hardworking entertainers in the city.
Oh, wow. Thank you for calling me an entertainer.
Sure. There were air quotes in there. I should have said.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel like really strongly connected to being a person in the city. So whatever you can add to that. Like, you're one of the women in the city. I'm like,
yes. That is a true statement.
You are a person that has a vehicle in the city.
Wow. Yes.
Some people cannot say that.
I am in the top 91%.
You are in the zone. And having worked with you for so long and seen you perform and hang out with you and just generally loved you from afar and up close, you are also somebody who is, people may not know this, an actual trained clown. Yes?
What?
Yes. Can you say a little bit about that? in English.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that initially in this area, specific in a more improv and stand-up spaces, when I use the word clown, there's not a very good response because people typically think birthday clown, or they think, white face kind of, creepy clown, or that kind of Ronald McDonald stuff, which I would love if I was talented enough to pull that bullshit off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking in circles, like if I was in LA and I was like, I do clown, people would be like, yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Clown is just I'm trained in physical comedy where there is no fourth wall, and the entire goal is to please the audience and make them happy and connect with them. And if you don't do that, you fail at that, you must admit that to them. And there's that real vulnerability and it is somewhat parts of it are improv, somewhat parts of it are stand-up or crowd work, but all of that is limited. There's so many limits. Clown is something that is limitless. If people are like, oh, I love improv and I love doing this, I'm like, so I think that's like some people's alcohol or some people's weed.
Mm.
And clown for me is like heroin and crack with nonstop cocaine coming in. And you're just like, wow, it's just so much joy and pleasure. And the experience of that having to be shared. There is no inside joke in clown. There is no highbrow looking down without being seen. The whole point of the physical comedy experience is to share a thing that brings me joy, but it will only continue to bring me joy if I can share that with you. That's the whole point of it. So if I fail at sharing it, or if I come at it with some cleverness or some inauthenticity, the crowd will do a thing that makes all performers and comedians burn inside. The crowd will do this. They will be silent. And the performer, the clown, has to be blown into pieces when that happens. And I think a stand-up and an improviser, obviously, is likely very much disconnected. They ask for a suggestion and then they say, okay, I'll talk to you guys in 40 minutes after the show. Where a stand-up will do a joke and sometimes they're like, oh, what? You guys don't get that? So I think if I were going to really explain it and be able to share what the clown is that I'm trained in, is a sharing of joy that is limitless and authentic.
Excuse me.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. How many roads must a man walk down? Everybody, you know the word.
I don't.
My favorite thing to do is to start singing a made-up song and then say, you know the words, come on in. And then he killed 6 million Jews. You know this one. Come on, at the end. Protest all you want. We love that chicken sandwich. Adolf's special. Come on, you know Hitler's famous chicken sandwich. Everybody.
Oh boy, that's going to go over well overseas. Listening to you talk, it sounds like there isn't an ego involved, I think.
Yeah.
When you perform, it's very much egoless of, I'm here, I'm a person, I want to connect with all these people in front of me, and we're going to share this experience. And I'm very much at the not at the whim of, but I'm like a conduit for, and I'm noticing anything and everything that's in front of me and kind of responding to it.
That's a good summary.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's constantly admitting if your ego comes up, because we can't be ego-less, right? We can't be completely altruistic.
Mm-hmm.
If that were true, we would all die of starvation because we would forget to eat, only be focused on feeding others. What I'm curious about is this, because I think the thing that brings me the most joy is acknowledging failure. So when you've seen, answer me this question, the both of you, have you seen a stand-up comic get on stage and do a joke and whiff it, just bomb? Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You've never seen a comedian fail? Have you only been watching me?
I've only been watching you. Yeah.
Okay, so for your audience, if you've ever seen someone get on stage and tell a joke and fail at it, likely live comedy, right? Because what you're seeing on videos and stuff is. So, Ralph, what does that feel like when you watch someone tell a joke and they whiff it?
I feel for them. Like my insides turn for them, because I've been there. I've been on stage where I said something in the audience. Either there's no reaction, or you hear a ooh, and I'm like, okay, I'm having that moment right now. So I know it because I've felt some aspect of it. But yeah, there's an empathetic thing that kicks in where you're like, oh man, I feel that for you. Yeah.
Right. So
I would have that same response. I'm sorry to cut you off, Betty.
No,
I was thinking that. I was like, I know me well enough that, yeah, if I see somebody trying up there giving it their best in front of a group of people and in any way they stumble, I immediately want to like make it better if I could.
Right. So beautiful. So it feels terrible. It feels like suffering almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that happens in between the moment of that suffering and either the comic taking the next step to then move past it and pretend it didn't happen, or the comic saying, that really sucked. Wow, you guys should have thought before I said that one out loud, huh? Right. When the comic acknowledges it and there's a moment of shared awareness, the feeling of being tortured by watching this person suffer and you suffering, not only does it go away, it creates laughter. The audience immediately so relieved that we're now in a moment of truth that we're laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging the failure brings immediate relief and what is expressed as joy or laughter. And I think if we could fix the world, it would be to ingrain that experience and understanding in everyone.
Yes. I love that this came up, because that's what we do here, is talk about how we connect to each other. And I think a lot of times, I think going to see a show is a great metaphor for life in some way, because if you're in the audience, you kind of have this invisible wall in front of you, that fourth wall that we always talk about of, I'm separate from the action. I'm just going to watch, I observe. Yeah. But then when you're at a show where somebody as good at what they do as you are, like, comes into the audience, does crowd work, acknowledges people, right? Calls out those moments of, we all feel it. Let's talk about it. I'm going to acknowledge it. It can make the audience uncomfortable, but it also brings them in to the show and to the moment. So they're not just observing, they're actually a part of it. And I think that, like, if we can expand that into the world at large, I think that's something everybody could benefit from, of not just being an observer, being connected to each other, calling stuff out, saying, wow, we're having a really awkward pause in this conversation. Where's that coming from? I think it throws people off, but it brings us closer, and people like that when you can call that, not in a mean way, but just an observant, like, wow, that happened. That was weird, right?
There's like a humanness about it.
Right.
Like being real. I don't know if humanness is a word, but like you're really, I'm just a human being, and I made a mistake here, and everybody can relate to that, especially when you're talking about a performer or a person with some type of power, whatever you want to call it, in a space.
Yeah.
So a performer, if a leader, anytime anyone can admit their own, especially I think when they have this, I'm saying power, call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think it really, what's the word? Breaks down that power differential, and it really highlights that human factor that we all have, no matter what position or role we're in.
Yeah. I will say this, that as a performer, the power structure, just to add on to this, it's always going to be, I'm a little bit higher than them, always, even if it's an inch. And as a performer and as an audience member, you want that. You want the person you're not just there on the subway watching the person next to you. You want there to be a difference because, and I've stolen this from a lot of different people, but the idea that even the stage is up even an inch and the audience has to look up even an inch to make that clear, like, okay, we're here for this thing. This person, if we throw a wrench in it, we say, wait a second, this person, like, that's the idea with clown, right? Like, the idea of clown, the silliest part of clown is that I don't get to come out on stage until you are here. And I live backstage, and I was born out of, I don't know, someone was watering a garden and they were pouring water, and out I came, and here I am. And my history doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you guys showed up, and I'm only here for you, but you're only here for me. And I'm in charge, even if I come out with nothing, the big idea, like, I had this great idea. I was going to come out, I was going to jump through this hoop of fire, and I don't have a hoop and I do not have fire. So here we are, thank you for being here. It's not going to be that, and here I am kind of flailing about trying to get the audience to love me while I'm loving them actively. The transference of love is what it is, the joy of, like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Oh my God, I wish I had something prepared. I'm so glad you're here. I have, what can I do? Oh, like, I think about a little kid, they're the best example of that joy and that wonder, they're fascinated by whatever it is. And they look at it with like, oh my God. And they try to show you, oh my God, look at this, and trying to capture that wonder. And it only matters if it's shareable. It really, really does. So the connection, it's almost like Phil Berger's has this really great kind of podcast that I listen to over and over about how we're here together. This experience, I'm on stage, you're here. The audience, it's going to be a lot of hard work for me if I pretend that you aren't here or that it doesn't matter who you are. Mm-hmm. Right? That disconnects me, right? When you're talking to somebody and they're on their phone, you're like, cool, awesome. Should I wait? You're like that teacher who's like, I'll wait till you guys stop talking so we can actually fucking be here together. Mm-hmm. What is one of your pet peeves in conversation when, when you're trying to connect with somebody and they're not present or they don't seem to be present?
Ooh, Kristin, you can go first.
You just said it. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. First of all, I don't like to be ignored. It triggers me. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm moving around here. People that are not paying attention, I guess, to me or to us in our exchange when we're talking or when I'm talking. I sound a little selfish right now. I don't mean to, but, they're looking around. They're looking at the phone. They're talking to someone else. It drives me insane. And I will immediately stop. It happened to me last night. It happened to me last night. I was talking and then that person started talking to someone else and was not listening to me. And I got secretly annoyed and just stopped talking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Same for me. I think because I show up to a conversation, or I try to, as present and like fully present as I can, because if we're having a conversation, I want to share ideas. I want to hear what you're saying. I want to,
Yeah.
I've trained myself over the years, and the training I have as a coach and as an improv person and all this stuff. It's trained me to like have that deeper level of listening that average people may not have.
And by average, you mean short?
Yes.
Yeah, average.
If you're below 5'2", I don't want to talk to you.
I mean, their ears are in a different place. It's harder
they are.
to hear.
Yeah. If your ears are nipple height on me, we're not. Yeah. What are we connecting with?
I mean, unless you get to talk to that one special person whose nipples are their ears.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Where are they? I would love to know. Yeah.
Once while I was driving through Texas. I'll save that for another time. We don't want to hear that.
I love that story, that Texas nipple story. I can hear it every day.
But it's the same thing. I think everybody shares that pet peeve of like, I'm talking to you and you're not giving me the same courtesy that I'm giving you of like, I want to make eye contact with you. I want to listen to what you're saying. And if somebody's checking their phone or their watch or they're looking around or, okay, maybe we don't do this right now.
Yeah. I'll say, even if it's not personal, right? Even if you're on a phone with someone and it's just bad reception and they're breaking up and you're like, what the fuck?
Yes,
oh my God, I hate you because you're digitally having problems with your phone. And that means we disconnect. I'll say, like, when you're a little baby, tiny little infant baby, and you cry. If you don't get picked up to get soothed, you will fucking die. Yeah. You will die, right? So being ignored is actually death, in like on an evolutionary scale, right?
Yeah.
So I would recommend, I see the joy, the seeking of joy and sharing joy is like earning the right? As a performer, you come to stage, like people are there. Maybe some of them are not paying attention. They're on their phones or they're multitasking. I mean, have you watched a show lately that doesn't fucking make you want to pick up your phone? In which case, tell me what you're watching, because that sounds great. So even just kind of that, right? Like, I'm on my toes here. What am I going to do to earn the right to stay connected with them when it's so easy to disconnect? And I think constantly seeking authenticity, right? Like, there's this example where when I have stolen bits from everybody, nothing I do is really mine. It's right. I'm just like recreating other people's stuff. But sometimes if I feel like the room is disconnected and they're not paying attention or there's not a great audience, when I get introduced, I will spend 2 minutes trying to find my way to the stage, right? I'm in the audience. I can't go that way. And then everyone's like, what's going on? I'm like, sweet, I'm getting your attention. And then at least I got a shot when I get up there. Then I could do my, what's the deal with this thing?
Right into Jerry Seinfeld.
Right. And then I immediately go like, what's the deal with Jerry Seinfeld? It's enough already. But I think that, right, even if we're fighting against that disconnect, as a performer, I'm not going to blame you for being distracted. It's, in a way, it's my fault. If I was better, if I was more, my goal is to get you connected. What else is my fucking goal? Right? Chad Damiani says, he's got a great podcast too. It's called something like Betty is the Best. I get all my ideas from her.
Yeah, I've listened to that. Yep.
Yeah.
It's stand up and clown. He runs this great show in LA. I've stolen it. He delves into this art a little bit more. It's one of the things he says is, when you leave stage, you better be exhausted. You can be invigorated, but you have worked for them. One of my clown mentors, or my clown tours, says when I'm on stage and failing, and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? We came here for you. We found parking. We got a babysitter. We're sitting in this audience waiting for you. Now do the thing. Do something. And then I'm like, oh, it's not working. Yeah, I know. Well, try again. Try harder. Like, the whole point is that. Don't ever get into this idea where you're like, oh, the audience was really, they were really not great tonight. Like, no, dude, you whiffed it. No, seriously, they were all there from like some Republican convention and they didn't like my style. You knew they were from the Republican convention and you still fucking whiffed it with all that information? You know, like that's your fault. And that's okay. Like that isn't about like I'm bad. It's all good data. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that, it's something that we're trained to do, I think, as performers, that again gives us a unique perspective into human connection. And and like I like what you said at the beginning of, it's not necessarily absence of ego, but it's being able to turn it down or put it aside or look past it and say, there's more to me than that self-protection that we all have. And like, if I can be fully present and, you know, wow, I'm not getting laughs right now, sir. What's going on? Are you okay? Or, you know,
Yeah.
can I see your phone? Who are you texting right now? You know, calling stuff out like that. I think it's just this up higher level of connection and human understanding, understanding of the human condition.
Yeah.
That I think can benefit everybody. And you keep bringing up the subject of joy and like finding joy or tapping into joy or whatever. And we had Kristin, we had Neil King on a couple episodes ago. Our most favorite episode, and it's our like highest downloaded episode. And I think because it tapped into this idea of what we're constantly focused on. And a lot of times we're focused on, in a nutshell, what he said was, we're focused on the sea of stress in front of us and finding the little bits of joy. And he said, what if we reverse that and say, hey, look at all the joy I have in my life. And if I
keep it,
use that as the baseline, it's easier to pick out the points of stress and deal with that, you know?
Yeah. I want to say one other thing, because about physical comedy, the other piece that I think for me helps really, because a lot of what we're doing right now is just blah, 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 talking. Yes. And the thing that's so specific for me in clown is to just show how you're feeling. Don't tell me how you're feeling. So that's a very different thing. It's very different in improv. It's almost unheard of in stand-up, but it's show. It's not, I'm so sad because my parrot is sick and when I get so sad, I have trouble sleeping and then I get really tired and it's like, okay, cool. You lost me at parrot. But if you were to say like, oh my God, you know, my parrot's sick. I cry sometimes and I make noises like a bird to honor him. Tweet. You know, then we start sharing a real authentic emotion and we're out of our heads. We share in a way that's almost like, why are we laughing and enjoying this? We don't know why, you know? So I think, you know, saying like, oh, my tongue hurts, you know, and it feels weird when I point it. I'm like, cool. If you don't show us your tongue, we're so bored. We don't even believe you.
Right.
So I think physical honesty is also really important in that. If it's even a thing, if you can even like, have you ever done or learned about neutral mask? Do you know what the art of neutral mask is?
Can you nutshell it for us?
Sure. It's an art form on stage was created as an exercise to help actors in their bodies, but you basically put a mask on that is completely neutral. So there's it's not a smile, it's not a frown, it's just a blank mask with a face, but there's no expression. And then you perform on stage using just the rest of your body. And you just learn about how the tiniest shift in one part of your body can convey a huge emotion.
Okay.
With nothing on your face, with no words, you can express these huge, grand, dramatic ideas. We dum-dums get lost in our brain words.
Amen. Well, that makes me think of, Kristin and I have talked about this before, of body language, try to connect with people and how humans have really good bullshit detectors. we don't often use them enough, but we have them. Like there's that study that says, within the first 7 seconds of meeting somebody, you already know if you like them, you trust them, whatever, you're going to talk to them more. And it's not only a survival mechanism, but it's like this way we connect without our words is reading each other's body language. So we all do that in really minute degrees compared to how you do it from your, training, but it's something we're all capable of doing and if we can connect with ourselves enough to say, oh, my body's not matching my words, I need to fix that. If you fix it, you actually become a better speaker and a better communicator with people.
100%. I mean, when someone goes on stage, either in improv or not, and tries really fucking hard to be funny, you hate it.
Yes.
You hate seeing them try with that fakeness. You're like, I don't know why I fucking hate this guy, but since he's been on stage, I went and set his house on fire. That's how much I hate him right now. And also, I've been running. That's how I was able to get there and back.
That's why I'm out of breath.
Yeah, that's why I'm out of breath and smell like gasoline. I know you were wondering.
But this date is going great, isn't it?
It is. And luckily, we won't have to see him ever again.
Great.
But yeah, there is that like visceral response. We don't even know why. Just our detector goes off. We're like, oh, this guy sucks, man. He's so disconnected from us. He's literally on stage. You might as well be texting someone while he's up there.
Right.
We can't feel or connect. And I think for your jobs as therapists and coaches, kind of helping unpeel the layers of onion for someone, when you find a person who will put themselves on stage, it's probably not good advice to say, go there up on stage and be your most vulnerable self.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
We always put on an armor to get up there, to have a hard conversation or do something that's scary. So to like guide someone through something where, I fucking love it now, but I've been in recovery 20 plus years. I mean, my life feels insured by authenticity, or I will die a miserable drunk if I don't stay, honest. So I don't know if most people have that kind of, maybe radical desire to just like share every fucking horrible thing. I think it takes I think most people are trying to protect. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kristin, you could probably talk to this more than I could.
Absolutely. People are trying not to protect. They're trying to hide. They're scared to show what's really going on. They're embarrassed to show what's really going on. It's way too vulnerable and scary. And some people are really good at it. That's the thing. There are people that are really good at it. There's people that are really bad at it.
Yeah.
And, some people you can meet, and that's another thing. I don't call it a pet peeve, but I literally just cannot be around people that are disingenuous. If I sense that whatever the other form of that word is, if I sense that, I immediately do not want to be anywhere near that person in a social setting I'm talking about. But yeah,
your hawk goes up, right, Kristin? You can feel your hawk.
I get
Me too.
The baby that can't find mommy's face. I'm like, well, what's that? No. And I immediately want to run away because I'm a connector.
I know, and that person feels dangerous to someone like you or me. I'm like
a little bit. Usually I just feel highly annoyed, but that's probably more of a reaction of just like you said. I forgot everything I was saying before that.
No, I'm sorry. I interrupted you with.
You were totally fine. But yeah, I think. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that, and it's such a disservice to everyone. Unfortunately, if more people could just be more authentic and be able to really, like you said, tell their truth and be their authentic self, we would all be better off. Because when people walk around like that, and a lot do, it just sort of, what's the word? It just perpetuates, there we go, the idea that people are perfect and everybody's got it together. And then Facebook, Instagram, and everything else just adds to this. And if more people were just like, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And I'm so highly anxious today. Like I hear that, but I'm a therapist, and those are my people. Someone that come up to like, I had the shittiest day, and they're just like so real. Then I'm immediately the opposite of the other. Like I want to be all around them, and I just wish more people could do that because it's so it breaks everyone. It breaks down's the wrong term, but just sort of like disarms. That's what I'm looking for. Other people often, and they're like, oh. And then maybe they'll share how they're really feeling.
And in some spaces, that's 100% what we're doing, right? We're at an AA meeting, or we're in a church, or we're in a space where it's like an environment set up to not just encourage that, but that's where that's going to feel the best, you know? Yeah. And I think humans compartmentalize for safety and for survival. I think also that our shared experience of, or I guess our individual experience of when we've last been hurt and sharing a thing, it's hard to, you know, shake that loose. I know one of the biggest secrets and things that I've had in my life that I was like, oh, if anyone finds this out, or if anyone knew this about me, if anyone knew I was thinking this or whatever, especially in early recovery, I'm like, well, I'm going to go to my grave. I'm never going to show people this part of me, or I got to change this part of me and I can't let anyone know. The great myth and the great kind of disruptor of that anxiety, that fear of authenticity, was when I did share it all. So here it is. Yep. Here's all this stuff. Here's all this fucking horrible shit. And people were like, all right, cool. You guys want to go get some pizza? I'm like, what? I just told you my dreams or whatever, you know? And then having that and being like, oh, you know what? This actually didn't push you away. This made this lighter. And once you have enough of that, then you're like, not only did it make me lighter and more connected to you, but when I was more connected with you, I felt joy. That's all I want. I don't want to feel the panic or the relief. Oh, thank God they didn't find out. I don't want that. I want they found out and they still love me. Let's go play.
Let's go tell more people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or just like, let's know that the uncovering and the sharing is what is connecting us, you know? If we're hiding all the time, you know, not saying you should go on your Zoom conference call with your, you know, with your work and say, hey, everyone, sometimes I do this thing with my sneakers at the end of the night where I place them by my bedside and put a little candy in them and see if anybody visits me in the night. Does anyone have the next agenda item?
Yeah, that'd be creepy.
Well, this also speaks to the danger of living in a world that we do now, where everybody kind of puts their best, fakest digital face forward, you know, on Instagram or Twitter or Zoom or wherever. It's like, it's all these different kind of modulated and manipulated versions of ourselves that we kind of get lost behind. And then we see everybody else's perfect vision of themselves staring back at us. And we're like, oh shit, I feel bad about myself now because I don't look like that. I don't sound like that. I'm not as funny as that. I'm not as beautiful. You know, I can't make a pie that looks that great. And I'm actually happy. I feel lucky that I am in the comedy community because I have more permission.
I'm actually happy that I can make a pie that's that great.
I also, yes, my pies are fantastic. And, you know, I have permission to show all my warts and, you know, call out all that bullshit to everybody. And it serves this, you know, I don't want to get all like high on my own supply, but like, I think comedy serves this purpose, this higher purpose of like, it's not just making people laugh. It's like what you were talking about. Like it connects everybody in the room. And it's like, hey, let's talk about these awkward things in this kind of safe space where we can talk about it. And maybe once everybody leaves, somebody will have pulled something away subconsciously that will help them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, right on. I'm about to go do this bit show tonight at this I think it's this bar in the neighborhood. And I thought it was just going to be stand up. And then they're like, oh no, we saw you do that thing last week. I have this silly bit. I haven't done it in years where I come out and I hold up a sign that says, I want you guys to throw eggs at me. And then I pull out a thing of eggs and people throw eggs at me. I know it sounds brilliant, but it's not. It's actually really ridiculous and fun. And just the most ridiculous things will happen as a result of asking the audience to do that. Anyway, this comic's like, oh yeah, I booked you for like 20 minutes of like a bit and not stand up. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to create some joy, silly clown thing. And this morning I was like starting to write it. And I immediately was like, no way. I'm going to leave my house today. I'm going to grab 3 objects that are fun. And I'm going to go on stage and do whatever. Like, I think that's the other thing where like overthinking or over planning anything will by default take you out of that emotional moment and experience. That live, authentic connection will be impossible to fake if you've written it out and scripted it.
Yeah, I do that with my clients all the time where they're stressed about talking. That's the word. Talking to somebody about something or sharing something really difficult. And they're going on and on. I'm like, how about we just break this down? How are you feeling? Let's get the feelings. Okay, that's what you want to say.
Yeah.
All that other fluff and stuff that you're trying to write down, and you think you got to like prep them for this and then explain this. I'm like, no.
But you're really good. You're really good at sharing your feelings. And some people are just cavemen, right? Men, women, non-binary, they're cavemen. They're just like, I have a feeling, like, I'm angry. So
right.
It's like, even saying that, you're just like, okay, just like name the feeling. Stop trying to like figure out and process it. I feel like with my dad, especially, like he's such just like, grown up in a time where no men were allowed to share their feelings. And by default, he's a monster when it comes to any feelings that are difficult. And he just kind of like gets, agita and there's no processing. But that's the best he can fucking do. That's his best. He does not have any of the solution on how to process, share, express, or authentically connect. And that's where we're at. So the people around him are just like, oh, okay, here he goes. Here goes his whatever. So I think in terms of like emotional intelligence too, checking in on not everyone can be in their most joyous, expressive, authentic selves. If they were, we would likely not have a planet because things would just implode. Be like, oh, Putin expressed his anger and now we're all dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that made any sense. Did it? How about this?
Oh, that actually makes more sense. Thank
That's
you.
it.
I want to say before we go, because I feel like we're starting to wrap up, but I want to say, I think before we go, I want to say during the Zoomy tunes of the pandemic, one of my favorite things to do was while I was like chatting with somebody on Zoom, I would just like be like, oh, what's this? And it's just, oh, hello. Oh, the meeting's not over yet. We're still on the call. No, this is my boss. I'm sorry, you guys. This is my boss. You can see he's wearing a tie.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, he's so cute. Yeah. See,
I
would be like, oh, he's cute.
We only have one Zoom meeting, so we share it. I'll be right with you, okay? You can use it in a second. He's got like a conference call with a bunch of crayons. I don't know.
Well, I have 2 things before we go. Well, 3 things. But first, what you were talking about being able to process emotions, I think very quickly, I know this could be a whole other episode, but I think men specifically, when we grow up, we are not taught to process emotions at all. And we are taught the only way to connect with each other is either through anger or through sports or through like sex. Yes. So those are the only 3 things you can do.
I also took a mime class. So
it was great. So I think that could be a whole other conversation, but if you're a man or somebody who's male identifying listening to us, give yourself permission to feel emotions and to work through them and, process them. You don't just have to be angry or sexy or, play sports or whatever. There's a whole other range of emotions out there waiting for you to shake hands with them and say hi. Secondly, Betty, if you met or uncorked a genie and they gave you one wish that you could, fulfill for all of humanity, what do you think it would be?
Yes, yes, yes. My wish would be to be able to, yeah. I think I want it to be two things. I want people to be able to experience joy at least once a day.
Mm.
And I want people to feel effortless in acknowledging their failure. Effortless.
Gay
I
men.
want that to just be, here it is.
I love that. Kristin, do you have any final questions
Final question?
or thoughts?
No, I love this whole concept that Betty sort of brought about of the joy in your failure. I'm trying to figure out how I can use that in my practice. Like, it's so far from a lot of the issues my clients present with of, they're on the other opposite end of that, of self-punishment and everything else. And I love that concept. And it's percolating in here for me. Like,
All right, 10%, just whenever you collect from your clients.
I'm letting it, but I appreciate that. And you talking about how that relates to comedy. And then I'm just pulling from that and thinking, how can I take some of what she's saying too and apply this to what I do? So thanks.
Absolutely. I'm
That's
here
great.
for you. And
That's
if you need help, if you need anyone to point out failures of others, I'm happy to listen in on any of your calls.
Okay. I'll let my clients know that you're
We have a gay Jewish clown in West Philly who's going to be zooming in with us today. Is that all right, Mike?
Sounds good.
Oh, this has been great.
Beautiful.
So, and then thirdly and finally, can you share with our audience any place, if they love hearing you, where they can find you online, or if they're close to Philly, where they can see you in person?
Yeah, definitely go to bettysmithsonian.com. I try to keep on a month to month, you'll see my updating shows. We have all kinds of stuff happening, bit shows and stand-up shows. I'm at Punchline the second weekend in November, featuring and hosting for Jessie Curson, who's one of the funniest comics out there right now. She's going to be doing a weekend of shows. I have a gay comedy show that Ralph is actually going to be on at Punchline on Sunday, October 30th. We're going to be doing Scared Gay, a Halloween comedy show.
Gay stuff.
I might have. All right, I'm going to get the details. Go ahead.
And yeah, just follow me on whatever and constantly share with me how great you think I am. That's all.
We will put all of that information in our show notes so people can get it.
Yes, thank you.
One final thing I almost forgot. Did you see that comic who got the beer thrown at them by the Trump supporters? Oh my God. Would you have handled it any differently?
Well, I guess because I'm sober, I probably wouldn't have drank the beer.
True.
I probably would have done something just as clowny for sure. And did whatever it was. Maybe poured it down my pants or poured it over my head or put it between my boobs or something.
I think that's all of our, if you get on stage, a lot, I think that's one of our fears, is that somebody's gonna throw something at us or get on stage and do something. So to see that, like you were talking about before, I was like, oh man, my empathy muscle twitched.
Yeah.
But also I think she handled it beautifully. I mean, wouldn't be able to do that.
I've never been more adored by an audience than when someone in an audience said something to me in a horrible thing, and then everyone in the audience fucking hated that person.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately they're like, get off the stage, and I'm like, what? And everyone's like, fuck, freaking out on them. I'm like, this is my dream. I have this whole group of people is like standing up to my bully. This is maybe the greatest thing ever.
Where were you in high school?
Right. Seriously.
You're 30 years too late.
I wish 30 years. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. All right.
All right. Thanks,
Betty
you guys. This is
J.
really
Smith,
fun.
This was great.
Thank
Betty
you
J.
so much.
Smithsonian, thank you so much for being a guest. This was amazing. Again, everything will be in the show notes. I want everybody to go visit your site and see your shows if they're in Philly. This was wonderful. Kristin, thank you for making time in your busy
of course.
therapist
I wouldn't have
schedule.
missed it. Oh.
All right, everybody.
He's here.
Thank you for listening to another wonderful episode of Hey, Let Me Ask You Something. We'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.